A 1-15 team takes a running back. You just took your franchise quarterback. You had a running back. And I'd be pissed if I was a Jacksonville fan. I love that, talking about Green Bay. He'll never find out. Believe me, nobody knows better what it looks like when an organization is about to go to shit than a New York Jet fan. And Justin Fields proved that he can hold it together. He can regroup. It's okay if he struggles. And we got a big game against the Eagles, and maybe you need some energy, so wake up! We have every right to expect the Jets to win. Rich Cimini, schmuck, putz. Hello, and welcome to Chaos Wacky Wednesday. That's right, it's wacky. It's going to be a wacky day. We have a guest, surprise guest joining us later. It was originally going to be our friend Jimmy, but he couldn't make it tonight. So I have somebody else joining us. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise. I don't know how many of you know him, but I have definitely streamed with him, and he's an awesome person. I can't wait to introduce those of you who have never heard him or don't know him. I'm looking forward to introducing him to you. You're going to love him. He's got great insight. We don't always agree, which I love, because it's always nice to find people who can have different takes that you can discuss like gentlemen, and you could learn from each other and even change each other's mind or meet halfway in the middle and so forth, and argue and fight and do all that stuff that doesn't make any sense. So I'm sitting here trying to make sure that I have my background set right because it looks a little weird and blurry to me. So who do we have in the chat already? We have Tom Bon Jovi. He is here. Thank you for joining us and being here ready to go. And John Post, Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports is in the house. Looks like my brother left a message really early, I think almost a day ago. I guess he just likes to be first. He likes to be first. What could you do? Hey, we're coming off a very big week. Okay, so we'll start with that. We'll start with the game. So what happened? What happened last week? And how different fans feel about it, and we'll get back to this as more people join. I know they're going to want to talk about it. The first thing that needs to be pointed out above all else is that we went toe-to-toe with the defending world champions. So okay, and let's look at the conditions. Okay, the conditions were last year we finished the season 2-14. And it looked like there was no hope for the future, right? We had a horrendously bad coach. We had a horrible structure in the organization where the coach seemed to have equal power to the GM. And we only had a few players that were keepers. And we only had a few building blocks for the future. And then we had a lot of just scrap. I want to say scrap. We had nothing but holes, nothing but needs. And here we are playing against a year later after an off season of completely stripping the team. Okay. To the point where we took a cornerback that already had a year of experience in Bless Austin and cut him to start a rookie because we were so serious about if you don't cut it, you're not going to make this team just because you have a year of experience and this person doesn't. You need to actually play your butt off and you need to earn the job. So we went in with several rookies learning a brand new system. So even the people that were returning, even the players that were returning, were brand new system on both offense and defense. So of course we get off to an ugly start to the season, right? No doubt about that. Before the season even starts, we lose our biggest free agent acquisition in Carl Lawson. We lose Vin Curry, who is an important addition, who's going to be a really nice compliment. We thought we were set at linebacker and had big hopes in Jared Davis and thought he was going to fit our system well, and found out he was going to miss the first 6 games. And admittedly, he didn't even work out when he did come back. He's been way below average. I'll say that. That's the nicest thing I could say about Jared Davis in his performance as a Jet. We lost our left tackle, our what was looking to be a future Pro Bowl elite left tackle, who still I'm hoping will be, but we lose him in the beginning of week 2, and then suffer injury after injury after that, right? I mean, I can't even remember the last time we had Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Michael Carter on the field at the same time, right? Our 3 exciting rookies who have all individually have shined at different points of the season. So that's where we were, right? I mean, and here we are. We came in, we've beaten a couple of bad teams, and we've gotten really beat up by any good team, right? I mean, most games we weren't competitive with the exception of Cincinnati and Tennessee. And let's not fool ourselves. Cincinnati was not playing as well as they are now. Tennessee certainly showed to be a better team. And I'm not taking away from our victories. I'm just saying, okay, we got a couple of wins, but we weren't even competing in most of our games. Okay. How you doing, Rusty Spooner? It's good to see you. So after we go through all of this and we're all expecting to get demolished by Tampa Bay and Buffalo. Maybe you weren't, but most of us were. And it wasn't because we're down on the Jets or we're being negative, or trying to be anti-Jets or, a Debbie Downers. It has nothing to do with that. It was being practical. Tremendous amounts of injuries. Tom Bon Jovi points out no Corey Davis. For right, we lost him for so much of the season. But think of it this way: we're going into this game against Tampa Bay. We are missing our top 3 receivers as far as production. Okay, WR1, WR2, WR3 out. Our RB2, veteran running back, out. RB1, we didn't know this was going to happen, but middle of first quarter, out. The 3 offensive linemen we thought we were going to have playing the entire game, out. We only had 2 in that were supposed to be in there, right? So we have backup, and this isn't a weakness. This is an area with players that we did not want to see. So lose our tackle, George Fant, who was the brightest spot of our season. If you don't want to talk about like rookies shining, the brightest, biggest surprising, beautiful part of this season was George Fant became the guy that Joe Douglas went out and got 2 years ago. He just needed the right coaching, right system. He learned the system, and he's actually shined as an elite, amazing tackle. Can you imagine if he goes on and performs like this in upcoming years? How happy we're all going to be. So we go into this game. Hey, Harry, it's good to see you. We go into the game. Let me show these people. Put them up here to show that they're here. You see we have Harry here, and we have Tom Bon Jovi here, and we have Rusty Spooner here. We have my friend John Post here from Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Got all my favorite people here. And we got Joe Campione here. So, yeah, we definitely need to extend Fant, Joe. I agree with that 100%. The way he played was amazing, and we can get some years out of him. He doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, this is how he came into the Tampa game. Okay, and we're talking about the defending Super Bowl champions. Okay, all I was hoping for was people were saying all I was hoping for was Zach Wilson to survive, and people were literally saying that the Jets were stupid for starting him. I saw people saying they're crazy. How are they going to start this quarterback? Don't even put him in there, right? So this was the feeling towards the game. It's not a negative. It's not being a downer. We rightfully believed that we were going to get crushed in this game. And from everything we saw this season, it looked like we should have. Okay. So we come into the game, and then we go 58 minutes of high level competitive football. We're actually beating them, and we weren't beating them because of a lucky turnover. We weren't beating them for any other reason that our guys were outplaying their guys. And people could say it was a trap game for them. Oh, it was a trap game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is, our guys came out to play. And if your guys don't come out to play, that's the worst excuse ever, right? You could sit there and talk about injuries. I'm talking about we were depleted, almost half our starters. So you could, I mean, don't forget, we didn't have our starting safeties from the year, right? We didn't even talk about the 2 safeties that don't exist anymore on this team that are in season-ending injuries, and that were 6, 7 safeties deep. But we went toe-to-toe with these guys. And not only toe-to-toe, we outplayed them, okay? Then in the last 2 minutes, we all know what happened, okay? We all know about the 4th and 2. Okay, at the time, we didn't even know what happened with the 4th and 2. I'm going to pause on that. This is the perfect timing for our guest to join us because this is the key point of what I want to talk about in this show is the 4th and 2 play. And what we thought when we saw the play, and then what we learned when we watched the press conference, and then what we actually had to experience and watch as a reaction by others. So let me add to the stream and welcome. I don't know how I call him Spotty Blackman. You can call him Kevin Jackson. You tell them how you want to be known from Worldwide Sports Radio, from Weapons Hot. Kevin, it's great to have you here. Why don't you tell them about yourself?
Jeremy, I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much. Excuse me. I've had it's been a long day at work, but I'm thankful to make it home in time to be able to chop it up with you. Yeah. Kevin Jackson is my name. That's that's the government name. Yeah, Spotty Blackman, a lot of my boys and my folks, for a while they've been calling me Spotty, or Spot. So I just got I got freckles all over my face. So I guess you'd have to see it up close, but Spotty is how you see me, Spotty Blackman. You follow on Twitter. I am diehard Jets fan, Jay. You know what I mean? You know how we do. This is this is tried and true. I'm years old. I've been a Jets fan. I've been a Jets fan for almost 40 years. So this is kind of what we do.
Yep. And we met on Weapons Hot. I was appreciative of and given an amazing opportunity by Jimmy. I met Jimmy through Green Bean, and Jimmy convinced CJ somehow to get me onto the channel, and that's how we met. And it was a great time. And I knew right away. I said, I want to work with this guy more. And I was telling everybody earlier when I was talking about we have a guest coming. Not afraid to speak his mind. That we've had things where we're not 100% in line, like our feeling. We agree with most things and with the really important things. We love and we're loyal to the Jets.
Absolutely.
But we have different views sometimes. But we learn from each other. We respect each other's views, and that's something what we would hope is a good model, an example for the rest of Jets fans, right?
I would have to agree. I think moderated debate is good, right? And I guess that going back to the respect factor, not everybody is going to agree on everything, right? Not everybody is going to agree on the direction or whatever it is that they see, or they have different takes. But we can do it respectfully, as long as we go into it, just kind of keep it at that point. Look. CJ is my guy. I want to send a shout out to CJ. CJ is the straw that stirs the drink at Weapons Hot. So I got to give him love. I think he was on live rounds a little earlier. I know you know the show, Kevin and those guys. And Jimmy, man, Jimmy is like my brother from another mother, man. I mean, he and I, we obviously we don't agree on quite a few things, but like you said, the important things. They really do make a difference. I heard you were talking about the 4th and 2 just a minute ago.
So I wanted to give my take on what I thought of everything and how it all went down.
Yeah.
First of all, the 4th and 2 is not my takeaway from the game. And the whole thing I was building up was the story I was telling was, I'm so proud of how this team played.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, it was hurt. It hurt at the end, right? But we've all experienced that. We went against Tom Brady a million times, right? So it wasn't a shocker that it happened. But that 4th and 2 play, this is what really this is about, and I'm really curious about your take and how you feel about it. And this is the outrage that I have. Okay, the outrage I have is not the play. It's not the fact that our rookie coaches and our rookie quarterback had a miscommunication. And that's what lost us the game. As a matter of fact, I'm almost glad in the sense that it happened in a game that didn't have meaning, that we're hoping these games are going to have in the coming years.
Yeah,
that we're going to have games that are going to mean and a lot more is going to be on the line. And it felt like that's not the kind of thing that happens again for a team.
No.
So what I really want to talk about is SNY, Bart Scott and his crew. and it's not even because a lot of people are just mad that they called him selfish. But I want to really make my point, and then I'm going to let you give your thoughts about why it angers me, especially with who I am as an educator with kids in a high need area. And I want to reverse the thinking. Okay, I want to reverse the thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so none of us know. Bart Scott, I don't care if he played in the NFL. None of us know what was in the brain of Zach Wilson on that snap. None of us know. We know that he was given a play that was an option play that had 2 plays you can run. Mm-hmm. We know that they failed to tell him that we made an adjustment to that. It's not an option in this scenario. They didn't communicate. We want the Berrios part of that play. Okay, so they decided that he snapped the ball and went with it because he's selfish. Now, I say I can't prove that that's wrong, that he made a selfish decision in that moment. I can't factually prove that because just like I'd be a hypocrite. I wasn't in his shoes either. I think he was basing that on a read and said, this is what you're supposed to do in this read. And because he's a rookie, he didn't, like a Tom Brady would have said, this makes no effing sense.
Yeah.
And he would have changed the play, or he would have chose the Berrios option because he would have known from 20 years, 4th and 2, that this is not the right decision.
Yeah.
Now, my problem with them, so if they would have said, I have a different opinion. I have an opinion that he did a selfish thing on that play. Mm-hmm. I could live with that. I could disagree with that, and I could live with it. But that's not what they did. They called him selfish. Yeah. That is not that's not an analyst. That's not what a professional analyst does. They judged his character. Yeah, they defined who Zach Wilson is as a person.
Not a good one anyway.
And not right because of one thing. Do you know how many of my students, and we're talking, I'm in a diverse school of different race, make bad decisions that I know are wonderful, beautiful people. And my job is to help them be their best selves, help guide them, and help make them make the best decisions to be their best selves. Also adding on, I don't know their stories. I don't know the reasons for their decisions. I don't know anything about them because I didn't live their life.
Yeah.
I don't know their story, right?
Yeah.
So I talk about the behavior, the thing that they did, and I might judge that. I might help them, whatever. But I would never. Can you imagine if you put your kid? I don't know if you have kids, but any kid you cared about, or all the kids you care about, the community, the world in general, right? The kids in the community that you care about. How would you feel if you knew there were schools out there? There are, but where there were people who judged these children by a decision and labeled and defined who they are as a person.
It's a ridiculous kind of pretext even to begin with. And I'll just say this. Part of the reason why I had, some difficulty getting here is because I had a seminar. I am a youth mentor. And a lot of my time is spent, I've got 6 kids. I've got 3 sons. So, I mean, I get it. I think that narrative is kind of difficult to kind of parse. Again, you're right. We don't know who these people are. These guys are making whatever judgments it is that they're making based on either something that they want us to believe is really taking place, or something that they want us to believe they were told is taking place, or they're just really kind of saying it to be incendiary. And I get it either way. I think both of them are stupid, right? I don't think any of their arguments trying to call Zach some egotist or whatever, I don't think any of that is grounded in reality. The fact of the matter is that there is no substitute for experience, right? In either case, whether it be on Zach's part or whether it be Saleh and LaFleur or whoever else, there is no substitute for experience. And to be perfectly honest with you, when you say that this isn't something that would happen again, I don't think that it will happen again, because I think these are the situations that grow a young team into a team that, you know, it acts like they've been there before. So I mean, what we're going to see from this, obviously, you know, and please excuse me, I kind of don't want to even give any more oxygen to the nonsense that we're hearing about Zach as a selfish player. I really think that it just creates noise. And at this point in time, at this point of the season, what I think most of us really have and should be doing are, you know, recognizing the improvements. It's one play in the heat of the moment where really nobody knows what's going on, right? And we're dealing with, you know, rookie coaches who, you know, don't have the experience of saying, yeah, no, we've seen this before. You know, let's make sure that Zach understands that, you know, XYZ. Zach is up at the line probably mile a minute thinking, I'm getting ready to beat Tom Brady. I mean, you got to really think about it. In that moment, that was my thought. We were going to beat Tom Brady. We were going to beat, you know, a legitimate Super Bowl, you know, contending team. And, you know, that was going to be it. And, you know, when he gets up to the line and the adrenaline is pumping and he's looking directly at the hole, right? As a football player myself, in those moments, man, your body reacts and tells you what to do. You know what I'm saying? And it was a mistake. I mean, it was plain to see it was a mistake, obviously. But you know, to create the whole character flaw nonsense, that says a lot more about them, I think, than it actually says about Zach in this moment. And I'll just be honest, I was already you know, kind of impressed with some of the growth that we've seen in Zach, and I'm hoping that, you know, this is one of those things that next year, when we're on that graphic that says we're in the hunt and something like this happens, he'll be ready. He'll be ready.
Yeah. I think you start getting angry when it's a repetitive problem.
Yeah. There's no way they could say that, though. There's no way they could say that they have more than one instance to be able to base that really ridiculous kind of take on.
Right. And I agree 100%. So we agree 100% on this. And but you know, and it's and I understand, because, you know, I'm a big part of Boycott the Beat, and, you know, like Matt O'Leary's movement, and I fully support it.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Right. But to me, to me, the anger comes from not even the game, and none of it except maybe it flicked a spark in me because I'm very passionate, I'm sure, like you are, about our kids.
About the kids.
And just how it's such a problem in our society. Mm-hmm. That we label people, and I think that part's being overlooked by a lot. A lot of people are just getting defensive about Zach in the play, and it's like, no. The biggest problem with that is it's kind of promoting and encouraging this idea
exactly.
That if you see somebody commit an action, like whether it's true or not, whether their take was true or not, you don't start throwing out and defining people by one thing, because I guarantee you, there's not one person here listening to this, you or me, that have lived our lives and not at one time, at least, if not many, committed selfish acts.
Yeah. Or misconstrued something as being, you know, important, you know, because it was important to us in that moment, right? Like, yeah, I mean, when we're immature, we do stuff like that. And I'll just be honest, to me, I think it pissed me off a little bit more because it's coming from a guy like Willie Colon, right? Willie Colon, tough as a $2 steak. Don't get me wrong. I love the guy when he was here, when he played, but Willie has committed quite a few untimely, you know what I'm saying, you know, game altering or drive killing penalties here. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, what I think I just read recently, they were talking about where he got the penalty, he wasn't even playing, like he was on injured reserve or something like that. So Willie Colon, you know, you talk about being selfish in that moment, right? It's kind of it's why it is that I can't take seriously the initial premise that they're saying that this is something that they know. But they know that Zach is selfish. They know he's egotistical. They know from that he's, you know, exhibited this type of trait. I think it's kind of stupid. Oddly enough, and I'm just seeing the comment from Gitmo Bob here. They said they should have called the timeout. They were coming out of a timeout. Going into that play, if I remember correctly, they were coming out of a timeout. So during that timeout, that's when, you know, I guess, what we should have as far as the coaching staff teaching in that moment, situational football. I think that's kind of where, you know, we lost it. They were probably discussing plays and options and all of that. And I think they overlooked discussing, you know, kind of the why behind the what's, right? If you understand the why a little better, the what changes.
And you know, what's interesting to me is I don't care how you come out of that the Salah press conference. Like some people come out and say that's great. He took accountability.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what was funny because some of the people were screaming on Twitter and some of the noise was they don't take accountability. What are you talking about? He said we did a poor job.
Yeah.
We miscommunicated. We failed our player. To me, that sounds like someone taking accountability.
Yeah, I heard people say that they were lying for Zach, or Zach was lying. That come on now. How many ways do you want to have it?
But you know what, though? That's the funny thing that I was going to get into. If they were lying for him, I still love them for that then.
Right?
Then I love them for that because that's the model of a great leader.
Right? Why would you throw your guy under the bus, especially a young guy who we know for a fact had already been busting his butt all day trying to win the game, and for all intent purposes, we had the game won. I mean, inexperience. This is where teams learn to win. This is the adversity Robert Saleh wanted us to overcome right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. I mean, what I would love to have said to Saleh right in that moment is, I appreciate that you took accountability, or either or that you protected your player, whichever it was. I understand that you're a rookie head coach, and I think that it was humbling for you to do that. And that makes me confident, and that makes me believe that you just grew.
Yeah.
And that we have a better coach forever moving forward
than
because you just lost the game because of whatever went wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what's that's so refreshing.
Yeah.
So what we've had as an organization for the last 10 years.
Look, even to be able to say that we have, this much confidence in the guy after a mistake, right? I mean, we haven't been able to have coaching staffs that could make a mistake that we feel like we're learning from them. And this is going back how many years? I mean, you got to think after Rex, and even Rex in particular, because that was the last time we actually had, sustained winning for, an extended period. Rex would do bonehead stuff. Rex would have, time management issues and, calling stupid timeouts and the whole thing. We know about all of that, but it got progressively worse, as it went on. And now we have a guy that, you see him make mistakes, but then you also, have to think that, the next time this situation arises, it'll be different. The thought process will be different. Everything surrounding it'll be different. I used to say this all the time on the show, and I think CJ is probably getting sick of hearing me say it, but I say it's a hell of a time to be a Jets fan, right? Because, there's frustration, but what it is that we're watching right now, this is my opinion, obviously, is really the foundations of what a championship football team being grown looks like. We don't draft veterans. Like you can't microwave championships, all of the cliches, that I've been kicking around for years, right? What it is that we're watching right now is, sometimes it's difficult, but because we're talking about a guy like Robert Saleh, who we really kind of have this faith in because of the character that he's shown, because we have these quarterbacks who, we have this quarterback in particular, who, he has some flaws, but man, the kid, if we could string together a whole game worth of wow plays based on what it is that we've had this season, I think it is a lot more exciting than where it is that we've been. It just seems like this is more solid than anything that I think we've had in quite some time.
Yep. And the beat doesn't get the clicks, I guess. They don't get the juice. They don't get the ratings for saying, and it's like, and if it's true, and because maybe the 80% casual or not real fan or, person who doesn't care clicks or whatever, but the core Jet fans, and I call it Jets fam, and so does Rusty,
right?
Rusty Spooner, the Jets fam. I don't want to cover us up too long with this comment, but you can see he's all fired up. We want meaningful conversation, right? And the truth is, what this year is to me was, it looks like we have much more evidence. I'm not saying it's done. I'm not putting a stamp on it. We have much more evidence that we found our quarterback.
Yeah.
Based on his progression through the year. We apparently found a very special running back because before he came out of the play. Wow, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time that the Jets have had a running back that was that explosive?
We'd have to go back. We'd have to go back quite some time. I really like Michael Carter, man. I just there's something about him It just the it is there, and I mean, yeah, it's difficult sample size, and obviously we have some other stuff we have to work out around him. But I think he's our guy, man. If we do, add a back next season to kind of just give him a little stay here and there, I don't know, man. Michael Carter is that guy. I really, 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 I like that guy. It's something about the contact balance, the way he just he passes the sniff test for me. Right.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to say from all those comments I'm putting up, there are so many subjects we could talk to about with the Jets, so many things we could bring up, and this whole Bart Scott situation. And it's the first time that everybody agrees that in the Jets fan, like all of the YouTube people, all the comment people, we're usually bickering or not bickering, but disagreeing and saying different points. And not one person has disagreed with what we're saying, right? Not one true Jets fan believes that they didn't go too far and that they're completely out of line.
It was so far off. Like it's not even well, back in last, a couple of weeks ago, you can't even do that. It was so far off. Completely.
Yep. So my brother, he's a fan of the show. Believe it or not, I got my own brother to be a fan. Who does that? No. And my dog's right here with me too. Apparently, he wants to hang out, but he's gonna mess with my green screen. That's what's gonna happen right now. But no, we're on the same page with. We're not gonna go as far as to say, I believe in my heart. I mean, from the day we drafted him, I love Zach, and I believe that I'm with Harrison on that. I believe in his talent and his arm talent, but we're not gonna sit there and stamp him a star. All we're going to say is we've gained, it looks like, more evidence that we made a good pick.
Yeah. I think just based off of what it is that we saw in this last game, all of this is always in the context of, this is the Jets, right? Let's remember we're talking about the New York Jets, right? So we're talking about a team that has been bereft of talent for how many years now? No depth. Maybe one or two good starters, and if the starter gets nicked up or whatever, he's not 100%, then you're really not getting what it is that you need from him. And then there's nothing surrounding him either. So what we saw was, a young guy who's really kind of learning his way, be able to come in and literally play on the level of of a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I don't want to say that, I don't want to put too much emphasis on that, right? But the fact of the matter is that, if you play well enough to be in the game against a guy like that, that's something you hang your hat on. And he had the game on. The team is not in a situation where we win those games, and that's a team thing. That's not a guy thing. This guy, just think about it in terms of, if we have Michael Carter the whole game, if we have, our top two receivers, even, right? If we have Elijah Moore and Michael Carter, right? I would think that we can probably win that game. I think that's the difference in when you're talking about talent. But I think that Zach put together the type of game that will tell you that if we do improve the talent around him, he's going to be able to put up points in bunches. He did it with kind of no-name guys. So it's hard to have expectations as a Jets fan anyway, because you think, we thought Sam was the guy, right? We knew Sam was the guy. Tank for Sam, screw it. Let's throw caution to the wind and let's go ahead and let's give up the bank to get this guy. And it's turned out he's a bum. Even and we can't say he's a bum specifically because he was a Jet, because he went someplace else and he's been a bum. But we expect that when we bring these guys in, that they're going to be at least good enough to show up. And Sam give you a couple, right? And Zach in his rookie year, he gives us a couple, right? But I think your brother does have a point. We can't anoint him yet, but we can be really optimistic about what we see, right? We watch games. I would imagine we all watch the same games. The kid looks like he can ball, and if we give him guys, I don't know, man.
The first few games next year, that's the thing I'm going to be the most nervous about. I'm going to be nervous because my nerves are going to be all based on, please let him start next year where he left off this
year. Exactly.
Because the biggest warning sign in the world, if he goes back to where he was,
yeah. If we're if we're 3-5 or something like that, right? Like,
and if he's
come
playing
on, man. Yeah,
he can't repeat this season. He can't play bad, and start to get a little better. No. He has to take because that's what they do, right? If we look at history and we look at the quarterbacks who have made it, if you look at that progression, there weren't these big steps back where they start over again, right? And then I dare to hope that he comes in with a full offseason, studying his experience, and he's even better. Like he comes and he looks and he keeps right from the first game, he progresses from what we just saw against Tampa.
I'll keep it real. If we get him a tight end, I think he balls.
Yep.
I'm just gonna. I really think that, and I mean this may be just again, going back to watching how our specifically the Jets rookie quarterbacks have progressed. Going back to Mark Sanchez, that touchdown that he threw to Dustin Keller in the Bengals game is still kind of. I think about it, it kind of gives me chills because I was like, man, I think we got a guy, right? We were playing good ball then. Geno Smith, had played his best games when Cumberland and those guys were available. I mean, it's something that rookie quarterbacks they kind of need. I think Sam kind of struggled a little bit, but we saw how well he played, or how much we thought that he played well that season when Herndon kind of did what it is that he did to give us that thought that maybe he was going to be something. I think a tight end is an extremely integral part of any young quarterback's development, but specifically in this offense. I mean, just think about what they do with Kittle in San Francisco, to an extent, and even the guys in Green Bay. They may not be the same on that same caliber tight end, but their importance to the offense is really big. It's noticeable. I think if we get him a guy, I think that's where we kind of see, oh man, this is I'm excited. I'm excited about what the preseason looks like next season.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's always been, and we joke around that the preseason is the best time of year for the Jet fans, but this time I think it's going to be. It's a great time of year for Jet fans, and it's going to lead to a great time for Jet fans. So.
Well, I mean, we love the preseason. We love to talk about it, and I think next season, oddly enough, I think we're probably going to be a lot more skeptical, and I think they'll look better.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to be like, we don't know what these guys are going to look like now.
Oh, we'll be spoiled, unappreciative brats,
right?
In the flip of a beat. One day when we're winning, we'll be complaining about this and that. We'll forget all about 2-14.
Look, yeah. I say all the time, it's another unfortunate side effect of hunger. We struggle the way that we do now. When we start eating, and I say win, right? I'm saying win. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yep. Hey, so Rusty, you never have to apologize for being pissed and ranting, because that's what this is all about. That's what I'm doing. That's what I came to do. I came to rant. I'm pissed. If Jude Jet was my guest tonight, I would say watch the language. No, really. Then I'd say, okay, guys, hopefully you see Jude Jet here. Watch the language.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have this kid on here, but we have to
I love Jude.
Be respectful. Yeah, we have to be respectful of the kid, right? But because I think there's if he started being guests on our shows, I'm sure there'd be a certain trust level.
We do. And look,
parents would be expecting us.
CJ knows to pull the leash a little bit, right? When we get Jude on.
But for right now, I check the box not made for kids. So I'm being responsible.
Right.
And Gitmo Bob supports Rusty in that. So
look, Rusty can say whatever it is that he wants to say. I don't, I most of it is straight up.
Yep.
Period. So I'm good with that.
So Rusty was also agreeing with you about the top tight ends. So we'll move forward and everything. I also want to say we have Payo Time here. And Payo Time is, I don't know if you know him. Payo Time is a LA Rams content provider.
Wow. Okay.
He's an awesome guy. He's going to do in the off season. He's going to do some mock Rams draft with me as I do mock Jets drafts.
Okay.
So welcome, Payo. Thank you. I always appreciate it when you stop by. He's also a guy who's given me a lot of advice. He's like a super cool I'll do, like I'm always happy to help you build your channel, that kind of, I love those kind of people.
Good to know people.
Yeah, best kind of people in the world. So thank you. And anybody who listens to this, it's fun to watch other content providers for other teams. And if you're interested, especially when the playoffs are going on, if you want to watch party to watch the Rams fans and see what they're like, if you want to see what their takes are, to me, Payo Time is the guy you go to for the Rams. You definitely go there. So I'd highly recommend it and checking him out. Joe Champion, and it seems that everyone knew you, Kevin, which was really cool.
That's a good thing.
Hi, everybody knows who you are. It's like I was like, oh, that was good to see.
Yeah, no, I'm thankful. Look, I love talking about the Jets, man. I mean, anybody. We talk about other teams too. I've been on other other fan podcasts before, but there's nothing like a Jets fan. It's funny. I was trying to get CJ to use a clip, and at one of the One Jets drives earlier in the season had a little 30-second thing about the Jets fan, and like there's nothing like us. There is nothing like us. So everybody in the comments that shows love, I do have real love for you. That's what I'm talking about. I love the Jets. I love the Jets fans, even the ones that are crazy as hell.
I agree. It's like the best. It's the best part of everything that's happened with YouTube and these shows and like the content providers. I was thinking about it the other day, when someone was saying, what do you love most about it? And originally it's because I'm a performer. I did improv, theater shut down, pandemic, right? Can't perform anymore. This fills that void. But really the best thing is I've made so many friends. There's so many places in the country I can go now.
Yeah, man.
And have a friend that will meet me for dinner.
Yeah, man.
And will show me around their city and genuinely, like want to hang out and everything.
If you're ever in my neck of the woods, I got a really good I got a couple of really good spots around my way. No question, cigar bars and the whole thing.
Oh, I bet you do. And it's been a long time. I used to go to Atlanta a lot for business.
Yeah, man.
When I was in technology before I was in education.
And I'm in Augusta now. Like I know
Augusta.
So I'm in Augusta now. So this is look, it's in between Atlanta and Columbia, South Carolina, which kind of gives you a little bit of contrast from, and not too far from Jacksonville. You know what I'm saying? We're centrally located. There's a lot of stuff to do around this area, no question.
Oh yeah, if I'm ever out that way. And Harry W is in the chat right now. I think it's his son-in-law. I'm not really sure. He'll remind us. He lives in Sacramento, and Harry's going to be here in the summer.
Okay.
And I'm going to get to meet Harry, which is really cool.
That's what's
we
up.
became friends on Green Beans channel. Just in the chat. So that was super cool.
Yeah,
now Payo Time is like one of my newer friends from this whole thing.
Bean. I think me and Bean are about the same age. I'll be honest with you. We have similar memories growing up. So I think we're right about the same age.
Me and Green Bean connected right away because we literally we're 2 years apart in age, but became fans within a year of each other. Yeah. Same exact era.
That's what
he's in the New York comedy scene, the city. And I was doing, I do improv comedy. It's different than the stand-up he did.
Yeah.
And I never got to the level he got because he was like on the bridge of really making it as a comedian.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting because we just have a connection, just from our life experiences and everything like that.
Being's good.
And are we going to ruin the Bills' life this week?
I would. You know what? We always play the Bills tough, though. I mean, we may not win, and obviously they have been the better team, but the Bills are not going to come in here and think that it's going to be an easy game for them. I'll tell you that. Especially when what's the difference between them being the top seed or the wild card is dependent upon if they win this game. If we beat them, they go in as a wild card, which that extra game I'm sure they would prefer not to have to deal with. But you know what? We're getting a lot of folks back. You know what I'm saying? We're getting a lot of folks back. Quinnen's coming back, so it looks like we may maybe be able to see some pressure up front. I don't know if Elijah Moore specifically is coming back, but all of the guys coming off the COVID list, we're getting our offensive line back. You know what I'm saying? I think I heard Saleh in the press conference earlier today say Michael Carter was trending to be back, which I think is again more weapons. You know what? I'll just be honest. As much as I really have been pissed off at our defense all season, I'm starting to see, some things that are, giving me at least a little confidence. I think we add at least 5 guys on the defensive side of the ball next season, between the draft and free agency. But you know what? The young guys, I really got to give a lot of props, because the young guys that, they've been punching above their weight class kind of all season. And I'm excited to see them progress, especially with the additions. Defense has been hard for me this year, man.
No, it's been inconsistent and at times very hard to watch.
Yeah.
I understand what they're doing. I understand when people don't like the answer. You don't have the personnel to run that defense. I think they know that. But I think what they're doing is they're saying, this is who we are. And we're going to put in who we are right now. Mm-hmm. And we're going to find the people and start filling who we are. Exactly. We're not going to adjust who we are for the people. This is our belief. This is the philosophy and the schemes we believe in. Yep. And we're going to take the time and we're going to fill.
We're going to find the guys.
We're going to find our guys.
Exactly.
And the guys that are here that are going to be around and stay, we need them to learn it now. Mm-hmm. And that's just simply what it was.
It was. I don't know if it was a ballsy move by Joe Douglas to kind of just say, okay, we're going to go in and we're going to self-scout with these guys this season and see how it works. Or, is there something to him saying, you know what, we do want to put a competitive product on the field, but, that draft capital really does kind of give us an opportunity to improve a little quicker. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, absolutely.
Yeah,
you know what?
It's hard not to think,
But you know what? Trying to win every year right away, get the best free agents you can, pay all kinds of big money, it's never worked. Yeah. We have no rings. 40 years, I have no rings. No. I never got the thrill of a Super Bowl.
There's example of that in teams in different years, and when Dan Snyder tried to do it, didn't work. Back in the day, spent all of that money, brought in Dion and all of them guys, and it didn't work. The same thing they did in Philly. They spent all that money in Philly that year, and they weren't really a good team. So yeah, I like watching it kind of happen the way that it's happening. Does feel a little bit more organic to me. But we're going to spend some money next season, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
I just like the fact that the draft picks end up being the better players.
Yeah. The only time it works is when you're getting the cherry on top.
Yeah.
So an example of that, when San Francisco went and got Deion Sanders. When Dallas Cowboys then got Deion Sanders. It's when you're putting the icing on top.
Yeah, that's when
the Yankees got Reggie Jackson.
Wow, man. You got to excuse me, just touched my heart because Reggie is my guy.
Yeah, me too.
I lived in California when Oakland drafted him. I have an Oakland Reggie jersey in my closet right now. Wow, yeah, Reggie was my guy. But when he came to New York, man,
it's funny. He got so much crap for it, so much shit for it, for saying this. But the funny thing is, it's the truth. Yeah. When he was interviewed, he made a comment that before he joined the team in '77, I'm the straw that stirs the drink. Yeah. Well, guess what? He was fucking right.
Reggie was a beast, man.
He was the straw that stirs the drink. And he delivered in October his whole career.
He did. Look, I'm hoping that we kind of have something similar happen here. He came to a good team, right? And at this point in time, what we want to be is that we want to be a good team. Did you see the tweet CJ Mosley put earlier about his kind of recruitment about the people who were afraid to come here because of the losing or whatever? I love CJ Mosley. It's just basically, if you don't want to come here and be the type of player that creates championships and is part of being a winner, then we don't want you here anyway.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it that he recognizes his role. He's doing everything he can to bring as much value to this team. He's a team guy. I love him. I love him. And even if they're, and sometimes, some of the plays, some of his play is greatly impacted by, and I'm not saying it's bad play. I'm saying it's not the dominant play that some people wanted to see in some regards, but it's simply because He's alone. He's doing everything. He's exhausted by the third quarter. The guy is making every tackle.
Yeah.
He's sideline to sideline. He needs a player, and we'll talk about, we'll be getting into draft and future players,
Yeah.
but he needs a Nakobe Dean by his side. He needs, I mean,
you said the name. Guy. You said the name. Yep. If you putting Nakobe Dean next to CJ Mosley, and then allowing, maybe one of the young guys, the Hamza or the Jamie or whoever it's going to be on the outside, or maybe even if that Quincy kind of works out a little bit better. I don't know, man. I think that changes the dynamic of our defense immensely. It does.
Plus getting a Carl Lawson back and whatever edge we take changes everything. Yeah. Changes the whole thing. The whole picture changes. So Peo has a question.
Ping at 4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, the way it works out to me perfectly is one of the edges slip. Beautiful. You grab them. No brainer, right? Yeah. Hamilton, if they both go, then there's going to be a huge fight and debate over Hamilton, right?
No. I don't think there will be that Hamilton.
Okay, but either way, however it goes.
Yeah.
If I know one thing, if we get the edge with the 4th pick, if we get Hutchinson or Thibodeau, we gotta trade the 7th pick down to get Nakobe Dean and gain draft capital.
I don't know how far down do you think he'll make it?
I don't. Well, we'll know more. We have to wait.
Yeah,
we have to wait and find out.
And the reason why I say that, I do think that he's, I think they view him as a transformational, type of player. The kid is fast. He's smart. He's all of the things that you really want. He's big. If we're not staying within the top 15, I'm not sure, how far it is down that we go.
Yeah, I was thinking 7 to 12, 7 to 13. Yeah. Somebody who wants to sneak in there and now grab the QB, the first quarterback of the draft. Or,
I'm really excited about how that shakes out anyway, because I think the question is Thibodeau better than Hutchinson, or is which one is a better fit out of those two guys? And I think that really is gonna make number 4 extremely, extremely, extremely valuable.
Absolutely.
I'm really having a hard time with, do I want to trade number 4?
Yeah, well, actually, it's a really good point. If there's no edges, maybe we trade the 4 back.
Yeah,
and with 7.
I mean, at 7, we're in the wheelhouse for almost anybody else, right? We kind of are at that point. Right. I mean, I think that I think we're going to have to address corner at some point. If Sauce Gardner is there in the second round, I kind of don't think that you can pass that up. We know Stingley will probably be gone by then. I kind of don't care. I think I like Gardner more than Stingley just at this point, just from what I've seen.
Yeah, and I think there's other guys as well that could slip and be around the second round.
Yeah, do we go wide receiver? Do we go offensive line? I mean, is the wide receiver? What's come on? Why am I drawing a blank on the kid's name from Arkansas? Oh wow. Big kid, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, do we go receiver? At that point,
it's Burks.
Burks. Yes, yeah. Excuse me. I've been talking about him for days. I'm going to draw a blank right now. Treylon Burks is I don't know. I think that's a grown man right there. You add him if you have an opportunity to add him.
Yeah, he would be a special guy. And by the way, Adam Y2K is his name. He's Adam Y2K. Okay, yeah, he's on with me backstage. We help Green Bean out together. We're a team, part of Green Bean's team behind the stage in his big show on Thursdays. But he also is my official counter for my subscribers. He always tells me how many subs I have.
Okay.
But to get to Peo's question, I hope he's still here. If you were a Jags fan, would you? And he always asks the best, funniest questions. Yeah. Would you dress as a clown in a protest at the game next Sunday?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's not my personality to do that.
Yeah.
But even if it was, I think the fact that they fired Urban Meyers would be the no. If they still had him as the head coach, then it would be a yes.
Yeah, they fired him. They had to. But this is also coming from somebody who's worn a paper bag before. So yeah. I've worn a paper bag on the show before. It was just one of those times that it kind of fit. But
Well,
The,
I
the Jags,
just gotta tell you because you're gonna think this is funny. I've worn a paper bag in an improv show because when you do comedy sports, which is the improv show I did,
yeah,
when you said a bad word because it was a family-friendly show,
okay,
you
yeah.
got called for a brown bag foul, and they put a brown bag on your head for the rest of the show.
I probably
For
do
the
have
rest of the
to.
scene.
Yeah, I do have the shows in the brown bag. I probably wouldn't be able to help. Okay. See, I mean, so yeah, the best part of the Jet season is getting ready to jump off anyway. When we get to the off season, it's the best part of the year for us. At least that's what it is now. I don't think it'll be that way going forward.
No, no. And I'll tell you what's
Good
good
point,
about
Tom.
what's good about having all this draft capital that's so
Mhm.
valuable now is that this is a point in our rebuild where we have a lot of needs.
Yeah,
So what it enables Joe Douglas to do is not have to reach and get great value in each of our draft positions because we have so many needs. So if we need a safety and we're somewhere in the second rounds and Brisker or something is
yeah,
still there or Battle is there,
yeah.
we know we have a good quality guy if we want to go that way.
I,
If
I
if we want a tight end in the third round or the second round and Trey McBride is still there,
yeah.
we know we have it's hard to screw this one up.
No, my expectation is that we're going to be active.
Yeah.
I think that this is over the course of the past couple of seasons we've been able to see that Joe Douglas's idea of a player at a position is a lot different than ours, right? he's proven to be a little bit better at kind of finding where a guy should be. And I know there was a lot of questions about the Vera Tucker trade and the whole thing to be able to get him, but again, I think that has proven to be more than smart. And I think that Joe Douglas is kind of trending in that direction. I think, the possibility is, we trade out of 4 and 7. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is possible that happens because you're going to still have guys that are going to be able to contribute and quite possibly could end up being starters on this team. And then you figure if we're already considering 7 picks in the first 4 rounds, you're talking about transforming an entire team with young players. A lot of the difficulty that we've had has been with depth. We'll be able to say that we have starters and depth, and we have young guys in both. I'm excited, man. This is really good opportunity for us.
Yep. And I want to say to Peo saying from before that I can come to Canada, like he's in Toronto. When I used to go to Toronto for business, it was only business. Like I didn't have any friends there.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a whole big city. And I never had like an amazing meal there. Like, how you go to a different city and there's something amazing to eat.
You got to try the thing, right?
Like Montreal, you get the smoked meat, you get the bagels, like New York, you get the bagels, the pizza,
Wow.
you know what to get wherever you go. You come to I go to my brother in San Diego. Aside from amazing Chinese food,
Love San Diego.
We get authentic Mexican food, we go near the border, but like, I need somebody for that. The next time I go to Toronto, and I will, because me and my wife love to travel, I need a friend in Toronto to show me, hey, where's the good food? It's a real city, man. There must be amazing culinary there.
You gotta go hook them up. And I mean, you never know. It could be something that you'll never forget. I went to Belize and had this thing they call panelas or something like that. It was like the sweet bread. Oh man, beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely feel that. Port St. Lucie, Florida. I've been all through Florida. I love Florida. Yep. San Diego. You talking about your brothers in San Diego. I spent a lot of time in San Diego because I spent how many of the years in Long Beach in California. And the Mexican, the food scene, period. You can find great everything. But San Diego, it just seems like it's prettier there. The food's prettier. The people are prettier. The atmosphere is dope. Man, I miss San Diego now. You're gonna make me hungry.
I'm making you hungry, yeah. I mean, when I go to San Diego, I get that inside perspective. Like I think great Chinese food. You think Chinatown, San Francisco. I'm only an hour and a half away, but there's a place in San Diego called Spicy City.
Ooh.
That is beyond anything I've ever experienced. It's just the most ridiculous place. It's so good. But anyway, somebody heard of Comedy Sports. That's cool. There was one in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm guessing that's Adams from that area. I'm guessing that's the one he knows. Those guys from Richmond, when I did Comedy Sports in North Carolina, actually came down and would do tournaments with us. So I used to know. This was years ago, 20 years ago, but I used to know those guys. So. Well, thank you, Peos. I'm glad that you're saying that means a lot coming from you. So I appreciate.
I'm gonna have to link up with you, Peo. We'll get on your channel this evening before we wrap it up here tonight. I'll get in with you.
But let's get back to the Jets. Anyway, I spend a lot of time with the chat. You see, I'm a very family-oriented guy.
Yeah.
This is going to be a crazy shifting draft.
Oh yeah.
Rumor has it that Harbaugh wants back in the NFL. I think he's going to be Raider or Panther. And there's a big quarterback names up for grabs. Madness, LOL.
I think Texans.
Yeah.
I think Texans. I think the Texans are probably primed to be in a better position to get a better quarterback right now. So I think the Panthers are most definitely an option. I don't know. Do I like Harbaugh back in the NFL? I kind of don't care. I'll just be honest. I know it's a big deal for a lot of folks, but me personally, I don't care. I don't think it changes anything. But if it does, then that could quite possibly help us out a bit because the Texans are ahead of us right now with the draft order, and if they want to jump and take that quarterback early, that kind of pushes the opportunity for both Hutchinson and Thibodeau to be there for him. You take a pick of which one of them it is that we want. If one of those guys are there, there's no way I trade the pick. If either one of them are there, there's no way I trade the pick. But I think I may like Thibodeau a little more at this point just because I like his athleticism compared to Hutchinson. But Hutchinson's a beast, though. Let's not get twisted.
It's so hard because I go back and forth on it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think Hutchinson and I watch college football, so it's not like I don't watch. I'm not basing it on words and reading things. Yeah. I've seen him run people over. I've seen him go. What scares me about him is when he's going against NFL top-notch tackles and things like that.
He's ragdolling guys, right? Yeah, you're not ragdolling anybody on Sunday.
Yeah, does he, and this is what I don't see from him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a bad observer for him, but I see him as he powers his way to the quarterback. Does he have the bend? Does he have the spin? Does he have those things? Because Thibodeau does. Yeah.
That's why I say I think I lean towards Thibodeau. Hutchinson, I don't know. It's scheme fit, right? It would have to be, the best fit for him schematically. And I don't know if that's going to be us. I really kind of think that we need the athleticism, understanding that this defense is predicated on, the pressure on the quarterback. I think that's why we were expecting Carl Lawson to kind of be as, much of an impact as we expected that we thought that he would be. I mean, I don't know if Hutchinson is that type of guy, right? I don't think I would say on the other side of him, maybe that might be, maybe something. But I don't know. I don't know how he would fit rotationally with what it is that we're trying to do. I mean, he's not even like Bryce Huff when you talk about how it is that he has the ability to kind of get around the edges. Yeah. I think that's difficult. But I would choose Thibodeau. It would be I don't know. Could I sneeze at Hutchinson if he was there?
Right. To me, it's the decision might be made for us.
Yeah.
Right, which will take some pressure off the beat, because then they can't sit there and beat us up all the time, right? The team that picks first, if they're wrong, they have to hear it forever, right?
Yeah, and you can expect that it'll happen. They'll do.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine that we would pass on either one of them. Like if one of them gets taken and the other one's there, I think we're grabbing them.
Yeah.
Just from what you're saying, just from the perspective of before we even talk about the two different types of edge rushers, before we get to that at a higher level, the entire defense is predicated on getting to the quarterback.
Most definitely. I think it was obvious by how much capital they actually placed in that to begin with, right? Salah says that Joe Douglas has really done a great job of filling the needs that they said that they had. And they spent quite a bit. They did quite a bit to beef up that line. I mean, you figure, two of the top guys that we were expecting to start in Carl and Curry, kind of didn't get a chance to play. So next season is really going to be exciting because I do think we addressed the pass rush in the draft, but you're talking about getting, top 10, guys back into a defense that didn't have them. And we still saw some decent play at times. I think Franklin Myers, as much as we've kind of given him junk since the contract signing, I think it's been exposed a little bit how difficult it is to not be able to play with talent. When you have talent around you, it makes it easier for you to do your job. And we were really deficient, and I think it kind of showed in how it is that he played. And then you get nicked up a little bit, and it's hard to recover from stuff like that. So, I going into next season, our defense is an extremely big question mark, right?
Yeah.
But if we even just get if we get 80% of those guys back, man, we're a much different defense. We really are.
Oh, definitely. And there's so many picks in this draft, and it's so deep in certain positions. Like safety, you could wait to the 4th round and get a safety that ends up being a starter.
I think we should. Right. I'll be honest with you. Look, the starters that we have right now on the outside, the cornerback, none of them guys were drafted. Hold on, Michael Carter was what, 5th round? I think it was. But the rest of those guys are, you take shots. Yeah. And I think Echols is good enough to be able to do it. I know we're going to add one, but I think Echols is good enough to do it. Michael Carter 2 is, that everybody knows who that kid is. And Bryce, as much as I can say, we could look and see Bryce struggle on occasion. I think we see Bryce Hall. I think we see him play much better ball than I think some folks give him credit for. I mean,
I think
Mike Evans didn't go crazy against us, again, and versus when we played Tampa Bay this weekend. He didn't go crazy.
Yeah. No, I think healthy. We'll see what happens. And hey, so there are things that can turn this defense around in a split second. And one is health, right? So if Carl Lawson comes back 90% or more of what he was and what he was looking like in training camp, that right away is a ginormous impact, right? Just a huge impact. But let's say you get a Hutchinson or a Thibodeau, and they work out, like assuming like you get Thibodeau and he is what as advertised, right? And then you bring in a guy like Nakobe Dean, right? However we get him, whether it's through drafting down or whatever it is, we bring in Dean. Just from those two guys and Lawson coming back, you can completely change this defense. That could be a whole
top 10.
That could flip the entire thing.
Top 10 defense. Top 10 defense. Period. I mean, when we were looking at this defense at the beginning of the season, saying, "Wow," right? You remember that? Like those first couple games, we were like, "Yeah, the offenses, offenses got a little bit away, but the defense is rocking."
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. And that was again talent deficient. Without stability or anything like that. When you bring in the type of talent or bring back the type of talent that we're talking about, I think that does put us squarely back in the conversation of a top 10 defense and probably even better. And if that is the case, I think that makes Zach Wilson a better quarterback also.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Changes the entire dynamic.
Yeah, what you were saying about a tight end. I mean, can you? And that's not to put down the guys we have. They're doing their best. They're good people. I'm not dragging them as characters through the mud. But talent wise, the difference of bringing in like a Wademeyer or a Trey McBride. Can you imagine what that's going to do to the landscape?
Completely changes the landscape. And you know what? This kind of we'll talk about Braxton Berrios a little bit, right? Not to get too far off, but that's kind of the point about when you're talking about these guys are nice guys, whatever, but they're just not upper echelon talents. I love Braxton Berrios. But if Braxton Berrios is anything more than our 5th receiver next season, I think we're in bad shape. I don't think that we've done what it is that we've needed to do to shore up the position. So, I mean, I get it. We're talking about how I love Jeremy Curley when Jeremy Curley was here. Jeremy Curley was our number 1 receiver when Gino was here, 13, 14, whatever. He was our number 1 guy. But he struggled to get on the field in any other situation. That's kind of the type of talent that we're talking about now. We're talking about guys, yeah, we love them when they're Jets, but if they go someplace else, they're not going to ball like it is that they would here. And I want to be able to say that some of those guys that have just been fan favorites, they may just get phased out by better talent. And that's what I want, right? I just, I love, man, you were the bomb that season. I'm so glad you were on the team, but we had some, so we had some horses ahead of you. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping that's kind of how I'm hoping that this shakes out, because I like Berrios. All of them guys, they're just not great.
Well, I'm hoping we get Berrios for reasonable money for what he's going to be. He's going to be our gadget guy. He can come in and give us great explosion. He has great heart. He doesn't drop balls. He catches the ball, and a great, our special team.
Should have been a Pro Bowler this season. Should have been a Pro Bowler this season. I don't
should have been a Pro Bowler for sure. For sure.
Yeah, but again, like you said, decent money for him. You know what? And I mean, I'll just keep it real. If I'm Joe Douglas, we're gonna give you 3 years. We'll give you 14, 15 million. You'll get a decent guarantee that'll be paid out before you get to the end of that second season. And if in the third season we feel like we can get rid of you for minimal or zero salary cap hit, that's the type of contract he would get from me. I'm just
Well, it's a reasonable contract. I mean, let's not go crazy over two games. Now, he's been solid all year for what we've asked for him, but I mean, all this happened from a kickoff return touchdown and a really good game last week. Now, I'm not taking anything away. I've always liked Berrios. I like him, but everybody's got to realize there's a salary cap. And you can't just throw out $10 million per to every player. You just can't do it.
If anybody is talking about paying Braxton Berrios $10 million a year, stop it.
No, most people aren't. I think the most I've seen is 6 to 7 per 3 years.
And that's too much. That's too much. But that's also, again, assuming that Joe Douglas does what we expect him to do in bolstering this room. The possibility of this extremely high wide receiver in the draft is becoming more and more, I think, of a reality. The closer we get, that kind of that changes what Braxton's value is. I know in the moment everybody's emotional. Yeah, we're excited. Yeah, pay him. Yeah, I think we should. I think we probably should have paid Andre Roberts before he went to Buffalo when he went to the Pro Bowl as our returner for us. I think we should have paid him and brought him back. It was obvious that we missed him the following season. And Braxton Berrios, I think, is in that same mold. I again just don't think that I think Joe Douglas is the kind of guy that says, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and peel you off. I don't see that happen.
So AC is in the chat down there. Hey, I'm far behind, but I wanted to call out his name. I don't know if you ever met AC. He's from the North Carolina area, Raleigh-Durham Triangle.
Yeah, I was just there for the opener against Charlotte.
So, and my parents live in Raleigh-Durham, as does one of my brothers and some nephews and a niece. So I'll probably meet up with him one day, which is kind of cool. I'm also going to meet up with Y2K99 Adam in when I'm down there, because he wants to come down and we're going to go. There's a famous pizza place in Brooklyn called DeFaro's. Yeah. And the son-in-law or the nephew opened up a place in Cary, North Carolina, in Raleigh-Durham.
Really?
Called the DeFaro's Pizza Tavern. So
let me
we're gonna meet up there and eat some pizza and drink some beer.
DeFaro's, I'm adding that to my book right now.
Mikal Adams is Edwards. I'm sorry, Mikal Edwards is here. He's from Texas. Good to see you here. It's DeFaro, by the way. I don't know why I'm saying DeFaro's. It's DeFaro. Yeah. So anyway, I've had this up for a while. I want to address this. I don't, Spotty, do you know what this is about? This only 9 subs sells Jeremy's mock
I saw the tweet earlier. I retweeted it. So yeah.
So I'm not sure whose channel it's going to happen on. The details. Ryan from Jets 24/7, Jets Talk 24/7 hinted that they might bring me onto the panel to do it on like one of the Tuesday night shows.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been completely decided, but I'll do whatever they want. He's Greenbean and Ryan and Matt O'Leary, like probably the three biggest reasons why my channel is doing what it's doing and has gotten, it's establishing itself. They've been,
that's a
just
solid foundation right there.
They're those three. And Ryan really helped me out a couple of weeks ago, like by pushing that message out that I'm going to do this hot sauce. So I'm going to do what they want to do. I'm happy to do it on his platform because it has the most viewers, so it's good for me. And they seem to think it's going to be entertaining. So
it's going to be difficult.
Gitmo, I want to say, actually showed some concern for me.
Yeah,
my well-being. He was getting nervous about how much I was going to do. He says you can't do too much. No. You'll end up in the hospital. I think he was genuinely concerned for my well-being.
And I think he also has an extremely valid point. You probably could end up hospital from that stuff, man. Be careful.
Anyway, I'm gonna eat some of the Last Dab. It's a famous hot sauce with the XXX pepper. It's been on the show Hot Ones forever. They have a new one now. I'm doing the older one, the one that came first. So it's the XXX pepper, and it's actually a delicious, tasty sauce in the right amount, the right quantity. Yeah, it just burns the hell out of you.
Yeah. And look, I like hot. Just I don't like fire. I wouldn't put a lit match in my mouth. I was like, well, that's what it is. That stuff, man. Look, I'm excited to see it. I'll just be honest, and I'm most definitely going to support when it happens. But
so pay attention. I appreciate that. I'll definitely you'll know from when it's going to happen. Watch it live because there's nothing like watching something epic live. Payo's time's question is, what would the worst case scenario draft be for the Jets? Well, I saw what I think was one of the worst case scenarios in a mock draft that was brought up by either Greenbean, Ryan, or Matt. They each picked a different mock draft. Yeah. And I think one of them did CBS. One of them did a draft where the Jets took no trades. So you're going to love this, buddy. The Jets took offensive tackle Cross. The offensive tackle Cross, not Neil, Cross.
Yeah.
And Derek Stingley.
Oof. You know what? I don't know if that would be the worst case scenario for me. Cross is a marginally talented guy. And look, I can't say I can't say I've dug a lot into that. I'll just be honest. I can't even say I've dug a lot. I've only had the peripheral stuff when it comes to him. Me and my guys, we haven't broken down a lot of film just yet. We will be doing that over the course of the next month or so. But the worst case scenario for me would be like a Stingley Hamilton combination. And I'm just going to keep that real. I think that would just be, and I know people like Hamilton. I think Hamilton is a freak athlete, man. The kid is most definitely. I just don't think for what it is that we need right now, that's where it is that you want to go. So and because I'm a little afraid of the injury thing with Stingley, even though that season was wow, he was one of the closest I could remember to saying. Revis, coming out of college, like he was next level good. Yeah. I don't necessarily know if that's a recent thing for me, so I'm looking a little bit more at what the Gardners and the other guys of the world look like. If we're going to do something that high, yeah. So the Stingley and Hamilton, that would be the worst case scenario for me. Two positions that I know that we can say that we need, but the value just isn't there for those two guys in particular early.
Yeah, the trouble with me with that is either one individually, probably I'd have more of a problem with Stingley only because, like I agreed with what you said before. I don't think shutdown corner is that might be the straw that stirs the drink, right? That in 3 years, that might be our Reggie Jackson.
Yeah,
but
not now.
But not now. And I think, but what I think, the reason I don't like the combination is because if you took Hamilton, right, he's going to make Eccles better. Like even if you don't like the Hamilton pick, you got to acknowledge what it's going to do. It's going to help our secondary. It's going to help our pass defense.
Yeah.
So you're going for the same thing. Now you know it doesn't help us against the run.
No.
If we're not pressuring the quarterback, what good is any of it? You know? So that's my problem with it is the combination. It's like I could live with one and somebody else or the other, like an edge in one of those. And it's not perfect, but it's not worst case. Exactly. What makes that worst case is the combination. If those are the two you take, it's like, but you didn't need Stingley as much the second you take Hamilton.
No. It's like the whole Linderbaum Hamilton, kind of debate. Like you could have that. I know people would hate probably, taking Linderbaum first. You get Hamilton and you get Linderbaum at 7 or something like that, right? I think that would probably be a little easier for folks to swallow, even though, again, I don't think that safety is just a prime enough position for us to take him not early. If it's a second round pick or something like that, I could see them pulling the trigger there.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's really hard, especially now. It is a little early, right? I mean, the draft boards are going to change. Who looks like what is going to change over the course of the next couple of weeks. So this is obviously a conversation that's going to evolve. I like all of these guys. I mean, they're all good, right? They're all good.
No, that's right. Because even Kenyon Green. I mean, I'm not sitting there saying take Kenyon Green, but at the same time, it's not like I don't look at Kenyon Green and say, man, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. Well,
the guy's another AVT. I mean, imagine having another AVT on the other side. Oh my God.
And that's what we want. And I mean, obviously there's going to be the question about if we bring in or pardon me, if we're talking about actually moving Mekhi Becton because of what it is that we saw from George Fant. As somebody who initially was, kind of not high on the George Fant pick and then realized that, they liked him better than Morgan Moses coming into the season. I don't know. It's really hard to not have the conversation to say that George Fant is a better left tackle than maybe Mekhi Becton is at this point. It's hard to say that.
Yeah.
But I don't think Mekhi Becton instantly becomes a good right tackle.
Right. We don't know. But, so, and that's going to be a big talk of the offseason for sure. So Gitmo Bob is in the chat saying, and it's down, I'm not going to go all the way down there right now, but he's saying, and they're talking about it. So I just wanted to mention it right now because I think it's funny. Gitmo Bob is saying that picking up wide receiver in the first round would be our worst case scenario. And I just want to say one thing, not that it's not that I'm hot on a wide receiver. This is the only thing I'll say to that is I want to Gitmo. You tell me if I'm wrong. I want to up the ante and say the worst case scenario more than wide receiver, whether we agree with that take or not, is defensive tackle. Come on.
No.
What would you do if we used our 4th pick or 7th pick on a defensive tackle?
You know what? I'll just be honest. I don't know. I think I would just be stunned. I would be sitting catatonic in front of the TV for like a couple hours if we did that. It just that would show just like a complete lack of understanding of the assignment, right? Like why
how could there be a worst case scenario? Well, someone could say a worst case scenario is if he took a quarterback.
You know what? Yeah, that would probably be the worst case scenario.
That would be worse.
Because I don't think any of these cornerbacks or quarterbacks, are even as good as Zach. And now you create, you throw gas on the fire for absolutely no reason. Absolutely no reason.
Right, but we know quarterback's not going to happen. Whereas defensive tackle, we don't think it's going to happen, and we're pretty sure it's not going to happen. But we know it's not going to be a quarterback, so we don't even have to talk about it. But defensive tackle, I had to bring that up because of the trauma, right? Who's not traumatized by defensive tackles? The volume of defensive tackles we've taken in the draft over the past 8 years.
You're gonna bring a nervous switch on right now. You keep doing something like that, you start seeing me twitching in a minute. We start talking about stuff like that. No, that's
Do
You know
you
what?
are you
That would be the
concerned?
same old Jets thing, right? Is that what that is? That would be the same old.
Yeah,
That would
well,
be
that
the
would
same
be
old
same
system.
old Jets.
Yeah.
100%, that'd be same old Jets if they if they took a defensive tackle with
No,
the first
no
pick.
way. No.
I think there is one guy that's in the top 10 all the time. I'm forgetting his name, Phillips or something like that. But
Yeah, he shouldn't be in consideration. That's not a pick that we should make.
definitely not. So I could live with almost everything else. So Gitmo is also has concern with Thibodeau. He's kind of
Yeah,
light,
yeah,
and he's worried about level of competition.
yeah. I mean, look, I'm gonna keep it real. The second point of that I think is kind of why he makes a really good point with the first part. Hutchinson wasn't visible against Georgia. He was. I mean, yeah, he was on the field and you saw him and they talked about him, but he wasn't, he wasn't dominant by any stretch. He didn't even look like the guy that you'd want to be talking about as your first round, your very top draft pick. I didn't see that.
Right.
But he's also correct about Tibbs. I mean, Tibbs is not a 260-pound guy. And if you put that much weight on him, how does that change? The explosiveness. It's difficult when you pick a guy like that and you try to change him.
I think that's yeah.
We saw a similar like maybe a similar type of player in Rousseau in Buffalo, right? And I mean, I don't want to make them that closely tied together as far as a comparison, but when you're talking about the type of that speed rush, that guy that is really fast right off the line, boom, and can move. And Tibbs, he has been able to show some power and some bull rush, but again, is he going to be able to do that on Sunday? Probably not as frequently. If we add weight and you slow him down, I think that changes the likelihood of him also being able to even maintain parts of what it is that he did in college if you completely change his body structure. So, I don't know. I like Tibbs. I really do. I wouldn't really kind of change a thing. I would just throw him in the mix and be like, yo, just do what it is that you do and we'll work it out. You got a lot of talent around you. So, we're going to use you in a way that we feel like, is a strength of yours.
No, absolutely. And the combines are big too, because
It is.
you get to find out how strong they are, how fast they are, and and strength, and those things matter. I mean, I part of me was it's not like I have a baseball type mind of like Moneyball, but look at the stats and performance.
Yeah.
But in football, it's different. Those combines mean something.
They do.
Yeah.
But I'm a guy, and I kind of feel the same way about the stats when you're talking about look at what this guy does and look at what that guy does. I just think that there is a lot more nuance when you're talking about guys playing on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we crunch numbers all day for college guys, and we can be astounded by how prolific they were. Geno Smith threw for how many over millions of yards in college, and he was a scrub in the NFL. The same thing I could say for some of these guys that come out. Darren Lee in particular. We thought Darren Lee was going to be, this crazy sideline to sideline kind of guy, and he's a scrub too. It's really hard to translate what it is that these guys are going to do and how it is that it's going to look on Sunday. But
Vernon Golson.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, thought he was going to be like the guy.
Look,
right?
almost like Amendola. He's taking the pictures. He's looking like like the Greek guy, but he's not playing well on Sunday at all.
That's the risk of the draft. We get excited, but I always have that little nerve in me when the preseason and the exhibition and the season. I always have those nerves of remembering how many times I've been burned thinking we found our next superstar. Yeah. And it doesn't work out. So it's going to take a little more than one good draft or 1.5 good drafts by Joe Douglas for me to get rid of that past trauma. You know what I mean?
Look, like I say it all the time. Another unfortunate side effect of hunger. We want so many things to happen because it's been so long since something has happened. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Look, we kind of need. And I don't know. Do we need to catch a break? No, I think we just need to be smart about how it is that we're going. It looks like we've not going to need to continue to catch breaks if Joe Douglas keeps pulling off trade steals the way that he did for Adams and even I remember thinking about this during the game because I heard the commentators talking about it. But he trades away Daniel Brown to get Duvernay Tardif, and then they're both playing in the game, a couple of weeks later because we got Daniel Brown back. So
Yeah,
it was
he got us a starting right guard for free.
for nothing, literally for absolutely nothing, and people are. I think it's going to be hard to continue to do that every year, right? Like everything will be like, "Yo, Joe's on the phone." No, tell him I'm not here. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell him I'm not here. I'll call him back. Because they know, Joe's gonna get you when it comes to a trade. Every single one that he's made so far. You know what? And this is another reason why we can't undervalue, Joe Douglas, because all of the trades that he's made, he sent people to better situations, right? Like golden parachutes. Even when he was moving Steve McClendon and all those guys, sent them to situations where they were able to win, right? And then what we still got back was able to translate into meaningful production on the field here. Joe Douglas, man, I don't know. I that it's hard to say that him being here and seeing what it is that he's done isn't an extremely large part of why I feel as confident as I do about where we're going.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Mikael Edwards. I would be more upset if they took Cross than I would with the fourth pick than I would Stingley. I would.
And that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, I mean, he's a Stingley. The name itself is going to bring a lot. I don't know. I think Cross may actually end up being a better pro.
Yeah, it might be, but like, why would you take him with the fourth though? That would make no sense.
I wouldn't take either one of them at 4, but yeah.
I wouldn't take either one.
I wouldn't be mad at Stingley, right?
I wouldn't take either one at 4, but I would be more like I would think there's more of a chance that Stingley wouldn't be there with the second pick than Cross, in my opinion. Oh, yeah. But
Cross will be there mid to high teens, I think.
Maybe we don't know 100%. It depends on which draft, which website you like. If you go to Draft Tag or if you look at PFN, it depends where you go. But that's why I think that things are going to change from between now and April.
Well, because what teams feel is important is also going to need to be revealed a little bit more than what it has up until this point. You can say, oh yeah, this team needs this team needs this team needs that. But who do they like better at what position? And, is that going to affect what it is that they do? Do they want to move out because the guys that they like are still going to be there 6 or 7 picks later on based on what they know? It is going to be hard to kind of figure it out. I'm actually excited about Joe being aggressive. I do. I'm feeling like with as many picks as we have, there quite possibly could end up being a lot of movement that makes it so that day 2 and day 3 are a lot more busy for us. And I mean that's a good thing because we can find value and depth, which is what this team sorely needs. We need it all. And being
definitely
able to get as much of it.
I would love it if we accumulated, and I want to be busy on those days because Joe Douglas has proven without question he can find talent on those days. Michael Carter in the 4th round. Eccles, who's starting and holding the fort, but Michael Carter the second. Are you kidding me?
Another starter, and I mean you're talking about a 5th round pick, a starter, and one of the best in the league at that.
Which is crazy. I mean, and that's his rookie year. We're talking about. It's not crazy if you look at the way he played. It is completely reasonable to say that Michael Carter the second is a potential Pro Bowler, multiple year Pro Bowler moving forward.
Because of the position that he plays, it really is kind of dependent upon linebacker and safety play because he's kind of like right in the middle of all of that, right? If we add talent around that, there's no way you can look at that and say, okay, well, yeah, we've got a guy here. This is a guy, and you're right. Pro Bowl, I don't think it's not far fetched based on what we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, because look, he's already a top. I mean, how many guys can you list slot, corners that are better than him? And he's a rookie.
And statistically, I mean, even if you just go back to what PFF says, like a lot of folks do, he's consistently been at the top. I mean, we watch the games, we see exactly what it looks like, But I mean, for folks who don't watch the games, they go look at that number and they'll be like, "Yo, this guy's a beast." And then if you watch the game, you'll see exactly what they mean.
Yeah. And
It's
Al
real.
Torres, thanks for joining us. And we were definitely talking about Nakobe Dean before.
Yeah.
And sideline to sideline. It's exactly what we were saying. So he's definitely somebody we love. I haven't found many people that don't like Nakobe Dean. And all the way from me, all the way to Gitmo Bob, like love Dean. So
And
I
then
think
look,
it's
you
pretty
know,
much.
I'm in Georgia. I'm in Georgia. I get to watch him all the time. The kid
So
is
you know more than anyone.
the kid's dangerous.
Yeah, I watched him the other day. On one play I knew because I knew I was looking at what is he going to do? What is he going to do? And there was this one
And
play
he
where I
did.
was just like, oh my God, we got to have him.
Look, it's funny because Georgia's entire defensive line is just like, they're all going to play. They're all going to be playing on Sunday. All of them.
So I had this up before. So Adam says that we got to root hard for Arizona. No question. We should have been rooting hard for Carolina to win last week. I don't know why people weren't and don't get it. Like if Carolina wins last week, if Carolina would have won, we wouldn't have slipped down with that pick in the first round.
Carolina winner.
What? Yeah, we need them to.
I would love to see Carolina.
We need them to go in for Seattle to stay with Seattle to move down in front of them. But anyway, but definitely now there's no question that all year we've been saying this. Seattle, every game Seattle loses is so meaningful for our options, right? And what opportunities we're going to have. So
I think Arizona beats them. I just think Arizona's a better team. Arizona has a lot more to play for, especially going into this particular playoff.
It's going to be a tough game because there's division rivalry type thing. So so Seattle will
play. They'll play. Yeah.
But I agree that Arizona is better, and the key thing is that they haven't clinched. They're still playing for something, which is key.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, you got to be playing for something real, and they are.
Yeah, and Seattle right now is what, trying to play spoiler more than anything else, right? But I don't know. I'm just gonna keep it real. I think Arizona is a better team. It would be hard pressed for me to see a way that Seattle is able to pull this out.
Yeah, because even against weaker teams, Seattle hasn't been completely or exactly dominant. So
they're a dumpster fire right now, and I'll just be honest. I was thankful because I kept saying Jamal Adams is going to be pissed off because he's going to end up getting traded to a situation where they're going to end up being where it is that we were when he left, and we're going to be better, and we will be better, and they're not going to be better. They're going to be rebuilding within the next year and a half, 2 years, 2 seasons. They'll be rebuilding, and by that point in time, we'll know for a fact what it is that we have in Zach. But if the trajectory is any indicator, we'll be a much better situation than Seattle will after they finish paying him all that money that he fleeced them for, because he's not worth none of it.
No, exactly. Hey, and Gitmo Bob makes a great point. I think I felt the same way. I think this is why we extended him, because of his versatility. I think that was why we put so much value in JFM. And I think there is a chance, I don't know if it's going to be a complete full-time or if he's going to do a little of both. It doesn't matter to me. I like the idea that if we need the help in the middle, in the interior, it's so awesome that JFM could step in there and do it very well.
I mean, he's good at both, but I think Bob does make a point. He is more effective there. He may flash a little bit more outside, but he's more effective if he stays inside. So part of why Thibodeau actually makes as much sense as he does, right? Because then what it is that you have a Thibodeau, you have a Lawson, and then you have JFM and Quinnen.
Wow.
Right? Come on, man.
Wow.
Like, we talk about top 10 defense. That's what a top 10 defense looks like. That's what a top 10 defensive line looks like.
Yeah.
And there's no way that we can look at this and not be excited about that. But JFM, I think part of the reason why he got paid was because he's versatile, because he does, because he is effective inside, but then he does flash, from the outside. And some of the difficulty that we've seen at the end of the season has been because these guys really haven't been able to get home. It's hard, but injuries do make a difference. They made a huge difference with us this season.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, it's a great point. I mean, as good as he is, I mean, he was on the outside for us, and he's not on the inside only because of the Carl Lawson injury. It's out of desperation
Yeah.
and all the that we needed pressure, and he's so good and versatile that he was able to move outside. But he is an interior defensive lineman, right? That's his natural position.
Yeah, that's where he should be.
Yeah.
Look, but you can tell Bob watches the games though. I mean that's that's like that's exactly what I take from that statement. You can tell he watches.
So here's a guy that we didn't talk about. We talked about the top two edges. We didn't talk about the. Well, I don't know if he's going to stay the number 3 because there's another guy that plays on Michigan that's pretty good. Yeah. But here's a guy that's been getting a lot of attention: the Greek freak, Karlaftis.
Karlaftis. Yeah. No. I look again. I have seen all of the hype. I haven't seen enough of him to say that I believe it. I don't know. A lot of people like him. I guess I don't know enough to have a negative opinion of him. I would just say that I would feel like there were better options based on what it is that I do know.
Yeah, and Rusty and I have a guy that we both independently discovered that we have in common that we like. Maybe a 4th, 5th round throw of the dart.
Yeah.
That we would like to throw the dart on, and that is edge rusher Jeffrey Gunter, who plays for Coastal Carolina. And I did watch some tape on him.
Coastal Carolina has a good team. They do.
The concern is the competition, that they're better than the competition, but that's okay. That's not evidence against the player. That's just a concern. How is he going to do? It'd be interesting if he has an opportunity to work his way up the board from the combine and from interviews. But when I watch the tape, it's hard not to like what you're seeing. The guy, he seems to beat his guy very often. He beats the person in front of him.
Yeah. When you talk about Coastal Carolina, I say they're a good team. I think that's just relative to their competition. Obviously, we're not talking about a top team in the country, but they do kind of routinely have solid players. I mean, they have guys that that do get mentioned on Sundays, and there's a few of those programs that you can kind of count on every year to have at least 1 or 2 guys, and that's a place.
Right, and we are talking about throwing a dart.
Yeah, again, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's why again I'm so excited to see how active Joe's going to be in those mid rounds, right? Because that's where you're going to be like, oh yeah, well, we didn't see this guy coming, but now that we look at the tape, right? we weren't expecting that this was going to be the guy that he chose, but now that we look at him, yeah, I can see why that this pick actually makes sense for them. So I'm gonna have to go look at Gunter. I'll just be honest, I don't know enough about him to say one way or another, but if the draft shakes out the way that I hope that it will, we'll have maybe 2 late first round picks. We'll have 3 second rounders. We'll have 4 thirds and maybe 2 fourths.
I've went into if you watch some of my mock drafts that are on the channel, I go into PFN and the mock simulator and I do these drafts. And there are sometimes where I'm in a tradey type mood. I'm like, we're not going to go for the blue chip players today.
Nah,
we don't get one of the top 2 edges.
We're going back. Yeah, we're going back.
I start trading back, and as I think it's Rusty, someone's always yelling at me in small increments, Cravat, in small increments. Yeah. So so basically take the trade that drops us down to 10, then trade down to 14, then trade down to 21. And get Nakobe Dean, who in that simulator is always there.
Yeah.
Right. You grab Dean there.
Yeah, but now we've got all these second and third round picks now.
Right. So you end up getting like a Jobo at edge.
Wow.
And Dean at linebacker, right? But you end up with 4 second round picks.
Yeah.
3, or sometimes first round picks for next year.
Yeah, and that's that's again why it is as fun as it is, because the fact of the matter is that while it sounds far-fetched, it sounds wild, it sounds fun, if that were to happen, our defense is markedly different going into camp.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no way to deny that. how good is it going to be? I mean, it sounds awesome, right? It sounds like, oh,
We
please, like,
literally gain the potential to fill every hole. I mean, I did one where I didn't even do it for future draft as much, and I had all these picks,
yeah,
and I filled up safety with Battle. I filled
yeah,
in linebacker with Dean and Christian Harris from Alabama. I
wow,
got us Brees Hall, the running back. I
yeah.
got us Dotson, the wide receiver from Penn State. I was just filling in spots. I got Trey McBride. It was a crazy draft. I was like,
See, I always love when Trey McBride gets mocked to us. I really do.
what
I
were you
don't know.
saying?
I always like when Trey McBride gets mocked to us. I
Yeah,
like that kid.
yeah,
I
of
like that kid.
course. How do you watch that tape and not love it?
Yeah.
It's like,
Look, and again, we need depth, right? We need as many good players as possible, and it's all good to get those guys. How many of those guys are going to end up being starters, we don't know. But even if just in their first season, they are solid depth and really maybe contribute on special teams, and that's perfect.
yeah,
That's kind of how it is that we want to see it happen. That's why I say that I was talking to CJ a few weeks ago about the draft in particular. I'm like, yo, we're going to get used to, not looking at 8 to 9 draft picks, more like 11 to 14 every year, right? Because we'll be able to make those moves and those second, third, fourth round picks. That's where that's really where you make your bones. That's really where you build your team, right?
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, if you look at great teams of the past, growing up as an 80s, 90s kid, I used to look at um, how did the Niners build their team? How did the New York Giants of the 80s, late 80s, build that team? And when you look at those teams and you look at their drafts, go and look at the New York Giants drafts from 79, 80, 81, 82, 83,
Wow,
84.
that's a
Look at the
lot.
San Francisco 49ers draft,
From
1979, 80, 81, 82. And don't just look at the first round picks. Look at
at the
round
entire
3 to
draft,
round
exactly, right?
4. One I can think of right off my head, I think he was third or fourth, Jim Burt.
Oof.
One of the best nose tackles to ever play,
Ever,
at
yeah,
least in
to
my
play,
lifetime.
yeah, yeah.
He was like, so I mean, these were guys that they picked up in those middle rounds, and that was how they built those great teams.
Yeah. Um, Going back to even how the Steelers did it when they kind of had the quarterback and then they started kind of slapping pieces here and there around them. You get the Swan, you get the Stallworth, you get the Byron and all of that. Then you build your defense, right? Or your defense is being built again by adding key components on top of guys that are already kind of emerging. And you create a situation where everything just works all at once. It's a beautiful thing. And like when I said earlier that this is the time that it's a hell of a time to be a Jets fan because we're watching it happen. This is why it's so much fun, right? We're sitting here and we're kicking around all of these names, and the possibility is that maybe one or two of these guys actually ends up getting drafted here, and we get a chance to watch them ball. And if they play well, man, come on, we're talking about whose jersey we're going to be buying within the next couple of years, based on if Joe Douglas can maybe not take a guy early that most folks want him to take, and he moves back and gets another guy that's just as good or comparable or whatever in a different position, and adds two other guys later on that end up being a top tier linebacker and the answer for us at right tackle. We never know. But that's exciting, right? That's exciting right now.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, that's what we've been excited about since last year, even, right? I mean, it's just, and it's like, and everyone outside in the outside world is looking and talking crap and talking this, but they don't focus on what we're focusing on. They don't know what we have, the potential, and
They don't follow
and the draft capital, and they just don't get it. And
they don't follow it like we do, right? I mean, there's something to be said for a guy on ESPN saying, "Oh yeah, man, we don't the Jets have no chance," and somebody that actually watches the Jets and says, "You know what? If you don't bring your A game, the Jets are gonna kick your ass." And I'm telling you right now, that's what it's going to end up being. Narrative changes. That's what I'm looking forward to, because I think the more that we see, these guys emerge, and we're starting to see now. You see, like the I was talking about our triplets, right? And I was thinking Zach, Michael Carter, and Elijah Moore are the triplets, or maybe depending upon what Joe does in this next draft coming up, if he does decide that wide receiver is worth that first round pick, and we pick up a guy like Treylon Burks, how that changes the dynamic of what it is that we're doing in the next season, man. Look, Treylon Burks, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Michael Carter, and who's it? We were just talking about the kid,
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride.
Oh my God!
Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And then add Mekhi back into the mix. Add another year with Duvernay Tardif in the mix. Add Connor McGovern, who was kind of rounding out and then got hurt at the end of the season. I mean, I don't know, another year with him in the mix, playing next to better guards.
Right. And hey, third round you could pick up. And don't forget, third round, maybe we end up picking up a Patterson or a Lindstrom, and we get. And even if he doesn't, if McGovern's good. Okay, I'm fine with a Patterson or Lindstrom spending 1 year on the bench developing.
Right behind him, and the next man up, and then you figure you've got the core of your line actually being guys that had played together for 2 or 3 seasons, and then you can kind of sneak a guy in like that and where they can help him to develop, and then he doesn't have to worry about anything but his own job because he's got upper echelon guys around him. This is what I'm talking about when I say that it's a hell of a time to be a Jets fan, right? This is what when I said that the offense is the star and we just need guys to be able to put it up. But I think Zach has the ability to score points in bunches, and we're talking about 5,000 yards and how many ever touchdowns. That's not far-fetched in this offense if we get guys that can do what it is that we're asking them to do. If we solidify our offensive line, and what that does is create that dynamic between Michael Carter and what Zach can do on play action, 30 points a game, 35 points a game, 40 points a game, I don't think that's a problem for us. I think that's going to be something that is well within our warehouse. And again, if your defense isn't that good in 2 years, you're going to pay for it. If you're playing the Jets, you're going to pay for it. You're going to.
And it's important to say that because of the rookies and the rookie quarterback, they're a little lower than it usually is. A little lower, not crazy, but it is very common for this offensive scheme. If you look at Atlanta, if you look at Washington, if you look around in the places it's been, for literally a 10-point difference between year 1 and year 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we started, we had a rookie quarterback. We lost our left tackle. So much adversity.
Yeah.
But so we didn't get the normal 20 to 22 points a game. I think we're more 17 to 19. Yeah. But certainly after Zach came back from his injury, we've been much better than that. So we've already shown the growth and the progress. And even before his injury, when we had, Mike White playing and everything. But it is perfectly normal and not crazy if you go by the history of this offensive scheme, especially if we add all this talent, right? If we're going to be adding all this talent, it is not out of the question. It's not crazy or ridiculous to say that we can go up 10 to 12 points per game on our average score and in scoring.
Not at all. You know what? I think Josh Johnson was the best indicator for me on what this offense really and truly is capable of doing. Right. And I say that just to say that Zach Wilson is a more talented quarterback than Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson, obviously, at this point in his career, is a better quarterback because of the experience and because, of his ability to understand how to make changes and do all of those things. Sure. But when we saw Josh Johnson out there, we saw Josh Johnson throwing for 300 some odd yards and multiple touchdowns. Right. And we saw him again, maybe even doing it with better talent than what Zach had available. But if Zach can get to even that level of savviness and still have some of the physical abilities to be better than what we saw from Josh Johnson, again, we're talking about 400-yard games. We're talking about 30 points, 30 some odd points. We're talking about, decent run game. We're talking about the ability for this offense to be able to do everything that they want to do. Mike White it was a great game against the Bengals. I think, and maybe again, this is just my opinion. I don't think the Bengals played their best game. I think that kind of, boosted what it looked like Mike was doing. But again, when he got hurt and Josh comes in and Josh does what it is that he does, I think that's really where I said to myself, the offense, man, this offense, we're gonna put up bunches of points.
Yep.
And we just need to see the talent now, right?
Yep. Yeah. We definitely need some more talent. There's some spots where it's a glaring hole. Bill, and you can see that we compensate for it a lot. We're compensated for that lack, and covering it up constantly. But Billy SBC had this up for a while. Says 80s teams had no salary cap, which is true. So that's how dynasties were made, which is absolutely true. I there's more skill to being a GM now because aside from just drafting those good players in those middle rounds, now you have to constantly be feeding the pipe and managing the money. Who do you give the money to? You're going to have to let good players go. Who do you set up? Where do you put the comp picks? Because that's a big part of New England and those kind of organizations is when they lose those good players, they get comp picks back for them. So just managing and doing all of that. So it's a lot more complex now. But it's the same theory of we think it's the first round picks that make the big difference. But when you look at all the great teams, even now with the salary cap, you'll still see if you look at it like Steelers and you look at New England, you look at these teams, look who they're picking in the middle rounds. And these are their names of people who contribute. And then you look at weak teams, you look at Detroit, you look at teams that have been bad. Yeah. Right. Look at us and before JD came and look at our third, fourth, fifth, sixth round picks. And that's where you start to see the difference in the qualities of these teams.
Absolutely.
Now, I personally feel there should be some type of rule that like when your player hits free agency, for the team that drafted him, what you pay him, your salary cap only gets hit 50%. Like some type of balance to allow teams to hold on to the guys they invested in, found, developed, and to build that fan loyalty, to get it back to a place where an NFL player spends 8-9 years with their team that drafted him instead of this revolving door because of his salary cap. And I think it really does hurt. It doesn't feel the same like it used to when you're constantly getting these new names in the uniform and you're losing players you love because of a salary cap.
I think part of why there was some question, and I mean, I'd speak in terms of the Jets, but part of why we kind of had some issue with Douglas originally is because he wasn't spending the money, right? Like he wasn't, kind of breaking the bank or throwing the bag at such and such player here and there when we really wanted him. But that goes back to you saying, you do have to be smart about this, right? You can't just be like, top-notch contract for you and top-notch contract for you, and you're gonna get, a 2 year, $2 million more than average. You're gonna get, $3 million more than average every year. You kind of just can't throw money like that. But you kind of don't want to anyway, right? You don't want to have to do that. What it is that you want, if you're going to have to give out contracts like that, you want to give out contracts like that to guys that have performed and grown and developed here from the beginning, right? You want to have the difficult, decision of saying, is our quarterback worth 30-35 million a year? Yeah, we drafted him, I'm saying he's a baller. This is what it is that, we need to do. Let's go ahead and pay him. But then on top of that, you want to say, we drafted this kid, Michael Carter, and he's balled out too. Running back is kind of a difficult position to gauge as far as the money is concerned, but from what it is that he's done here, he's worth 10 million a year. You know what I'm saying? And as a running back right now, 10 million a year, that's but that's the type of situation I think that we should be in as far as contracts. I don't want to just go into every free agency and say, this guy's done such and such over here for 2 years. We need to give him so much money that nobody else will even consider touching it so that he'll come in. I don't know if I'm actually in for doing that. There might be one or two guys that I would say that I would be willing to do that for, but it's going to be very few and far between. I just think Joe needs to be smart because we are going to have to pay Quentin. We are going to have to, pay Zach at some point in time. We are going to have to pay Michael Carter. We are going to have to pay Elijah Vera Tucker. We are going to have to pay Mekhi Becton. We're going to have to pay
Elijah Moore.
Elijah Moore, excuse me. We're going to have to pay all of those guys. We're actually going to have to make a decision about what we do with Bryce Hall, and with our safety situation. Do we keep Marcus May?
Well, Marcus May is going to.
He's going to price himself out.
He's going to be a discount. Because unless they do it out of anger, and bet, they might say that his agent might convince him we should, they lowered your value, we're gonna walk. But honestly, if I'm a GM, and there are GMs out there that I think are foolish and they might overpay him.
They might pay you.
When you rupture an Achilles, you're gonna get a 1 year prove it deal for what, $3 to $4 million?
Maybe.
The guy's gonna be 30.
Maybe that's what I was saying before. Like, Jimmy and I had the conversation on Weapons Hot. Was he worth $14 million? And at the time, I was kind of like, he's the top 7 ranked safety in the league. We know what his value is to us here because we've seen what he's done here. Does another team believe that he's a $14 or $15 million safety? I doubt it. But even now, what it is that I think it was reported that we offered him like 8. Right, like I think that's what I think the reporting was that we offered him, like 8, and I'm thinking right now after the Achilles injury, he's not getting 8, and not from us, he's not getting 8,
no.
And if we're not giving him 8, who else is, where's he gonna go? So
plus he's gonna come back and have to serve a 4-game suspension for the DUI.
So, look, if I'm Joe Douglas right now, I walk into negotiations, I slap the shit out of his manager. And I tell him, this is what the contract is, my man. We know what it is that you meant to this organization. We thank you very much for, your contributions up until this point. If you want to be a part of what it is that we're doing right now, this is what it is.
Nope.
And then I'd walk out. Sign it or not. Sign it or not. If you leave, check the deuces. If you sign it, ring the buzzer. We'll bring the champagne in, right? But Marcus May is not really in a position, I think, where he has much leverage.
His agent totally screwed him over.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think he's lost a lot of that because his agent is a douchebag. So
his agent screwed him over. Look, if he would have taken 3 years, $24 million guaranteed, he'd be in a lot better position right now. So he screwed himself. It's like injuries are part of football, and JD had him for 2 years at $22 million. So the idea was, it was like, look, I got you already. Yeah. You want me to extend it and give you more money? I'm sounding like Green Bean because I'm basically reciting what he says, but it's the truth. It's like, we have you without a guarantee. We have you with if you get hurt, just like what just happened, we get to cut you. That was our position. We have you. We have you for 2, even 3 years. We could have had you for 3 years for $35 million. So we got you, right? Why would I pay you more? Or why would I give you the same amount in a guarantee? It makes no business sense.
I'm not.
And people say, "Oh, loyalty." Are the players loyal to us when somebody else offers them $2 million more a year to leave and go play there?
Are the teams loyal to the players when they can give you a 5-year contract and then cut you after 2 seasons? No. So no. It's a business.
Players understand the business side.
It's a business.
This was an agent trying to light up the media and create a perception of JD.
Period. And I think people do lose the sight of the fact that, every time a ball is snapped, 22 little small businesses make decisions about what it is that they're going to do on each individual play, because that's what it is. There's 22 small businesses out on the field at every turn. Rusty, I see Rusty says the NFL should have to give big player stock options. You already know that I'll just put it this way. I think, having worked in the stock market previously, I don't think they want to give up that type of leverage. As a stock owner, you have the ability of accumulating stock, and at some point in time, if you accumulate enough of it, you become the guy. You become the majority owner.
But he's on the right track of.
Yeah, I think he is.
He's on the right track of an incentive to stay.
That was the point I was going to make.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to start giving out options because that's a different conversation. But incentive to stay, I think that is a big deal. Incentive to stay is big contracts.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would just wish there's a way that we could salary cap to protect smaller market teams, but incentives for that are also tempting, so players can feel okay about staying with their team, even though they're not going out and getting a little bit more money or more money. You know what I mean?
You know
Is
what?
there any kind of incentive?
And I would say this. Maybe start giving some some mentorship programs, like when you get to a certain point in your career, do we start transitioning you into maybe a coaching kind of a situation where you can learn how to transition from being a player to being a coach, and then maybe you can kind of intern with the team or what have you, a couple years after you retire, and that gives you an opportunity to transition to learn how to continue your career in the league after you finish playing. So I mean, there's a lot of different things if you want to be creative about that. I think organizations are gonna have to do a little bit more with regards to the compensation, because I think money is what talks right now, right? So even if you go to a situation where you're not going to play as much but you're making more money, the fact of the matter is that the money is the reason. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're talking about going from being a third stringer on a championship team to being a second stringer on a team that is going to win 7 games.
Now you're literally explaining the Yankees and why they have players who stay their whole career. Because how many times have we seen that career Yankee thing where they stay and they become coaches, and they become managers, and it's like part of a tradition and part of a family. And they have, and they find a way. They keep certain players, never leave.
It's the type of organization that the Yankees have been for before I was a kid. So
yeah. So I don't know if you know Luscious Lovely Lady, but she thought you were someone else, but now she figured out who you are, and she says, welcome.
Hey, Luscious. Right?
Chat toxic. I don't know what that's regarding, but I don't know what that's regarding, but maybe Luscious. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
So DeBartolo is the best GM ever. Yeah. Well, look, I mean,
you can't argue with
doesn't he have on his resume that he selected Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana?
Like Steve Young, like literally.
Brought in Steve Young through a trade with Tampa, so he fleeced them.
Yeah. What? Just saying that I've never been the fan of another team my entire life. The 49ers, I have to say, are probably one of the most respected. I again, we moved to California, and this is when, Dickerson and Ferragamo and all of them were playing, and then, a little bit Marcus Allen and Plunkett and all of those guys, and the Raiders. So California football was huge for me. But the 49ers, man, Ronnie Lott is still my favorite player of all time, right? But that is, I was playing football in California. He was, a USC guy, and then goes and ends up being, who it is that he was over the course of his career. My God, wow, yeah, really difficult, really difficult.
You're gonna have to tell me. I'm going to show my age here and my out of touchness. Who's EDP?
EDP.
Am I supposed to know who that is? Somebody in the chat, I think that we have here, can tell us. I don't know who EDP is.
I'm wondering if that's what Mike Allen
might know. She thought we had an EDP sighting, but who is EDP?
I don't know. Please
I would love to know.
Please help me
out. I don't know who it is. Hopefully, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I would say please let it not be.
Hopefully, it's a man who gets lots and lots of women.
Right. On that note,
man with lots of kids probably is not allowed to.
Luckily, there's no kids in here tonight, so we're good.
He says EDP 445. He was in Eagles YouTuber. He was an Eagles YouTuber. Oh, okay. Okay. That's good. Whatever. Okay, that's fine. That's reasonable. I think we're looking too much into luscious, lovely lady's name,
Okay. Oh, okay.
and that we're assuming, too much, and that it's
Right.
not just, it's simply a name. I mean, why are guys allowed to have all these funky, weird YouTube
Real.
names or descriptive names, and we don't judge them and make all these biases?
She can be luscious and lovely and sexy and all of that stuff, and still be a diehard down fan. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Trust
yeah.
me, I know for a fact. I
I'm
have.
sorry, Luscious.
I'm lucky enough.
I'm a
people
little
like
paranoid because I'm a little paranoid because I've had some trolls that like that come in with certain things, and I
me.
don't notice, and I put it on the board, and sometimes I see that and I just you jump to that conclusion, and then but you're saying like real things and you're a real follower, and I should be like thanking you for being here and encouraging you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and come to all my stuff and watch my videos. So I mean no offense, it's just a little bit of a paranoia. Like my worst nightmare is I almost put up someone said something really bad and I almost put it up there. So when I recognize someone's name, I'm like really careful.
I'm just glad that she's in the chat interacting. That's always my favorite part.
That's what we want. So it's great.
Speaking of, like, share, do all of that stuff for the show.
Yeah, do all the things, like the video, come, join and everything. You totally understand. Thank you for that. Thanks for your understanding. Yeah, I mean, hey, when you watch Jets 24/7, when you watch that channel, and some of the names are so great, they're so creative and different and everything, and like it's amazing the names that people come up with. I love it, and some of them are so clever that sometimes he gives away shirts, he does shirt giveaways, and he lets Green Bean pick people just based on their names, saying, well, I love that name. And I have a feeling, Spotty, that if I was giving away a shirt and saying, okay, who, pick the finalists and base it on YouTube names, at this point, you would definitely pick luscious, lovely lady.
Sure. She'd most definitely be in the running. There's no question. She'd be in the running. There's no question.
All right, there you go. So when I get big and I have like hundreds of, thousands of subscribers, I have 150 people in the chat, and I'm doing big giveaways, and so I have a little funding for the channel. You're going to be in great shape, luscious, lovely lady, because you're going to be in the running to win all the giveaways and good stuff like that.
Look, Spotty Blackman used to get me in quite a few places. I'm going to keep that real.
Yeah, so
people remember, they remember that. That's something that I know for a fact. They remember that specific. But then they get a chance to know me, and we chop it up, and I love it.
Yeah. Oh, so it looks like Ryan had a show with him, and that makes sense because a lot of times we the Jets YouTube content providers, as you know, collaborate with others, as I will with Pale. Me and Pale from the Rams, one of the things we want to talk about is it's not just a mock draft.
Yeah.
One of the things that we want to talk about is we want to get the Rams fans and the Jets fans together and debate who was more upset when the Jets beat the Rams in 2020. Like, which fan base was more pissed off? The Jets fan base or the Rams fan base?
Wow.
Because I honestly don't know.
I don't know either. That's a really good question. I think we all had some kind of equal desire for it to kind of turn out different, but yeah.
I mean, can you imagine Rams fans and Jets fans sitting together in the crowd? I'm sure there was, right? Because there's always a mix in every stadium, and the Rams fan yelling at the Jets fan saying, "What are you guys doing?" And the Jets fans going, "I don't know, shut up." And the Jets fans yelling at the Rams fans saying, "Why the hell are you guys playing?"
Right. We need you guys to cheer louder. Right? Yeah. We're gonna cheer with you on this one.
Yeah, it could have been Richie too, because Richie he always goes on these multi-sites. Like he does a thing with a Buffalo content provider, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, and New England. Yeah. He's always part of this like quartet where they all get on together. So he meets up with a lot of guys. But Green Bean has met up with he has an Indianapolis Colts friend that whenever the Jets play the Colts, they do a show before the game, and so it's common.
Yeah. We every year we do the know your enemy series. So I mean, we've done a few different things. It's Ryan Hickey and some of the guys at another Buffalo podcast, the Wins on Sunday podcast with Mike and those guys. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I love interacting. You know, even going back to when I used to do the shows with Robbie Jersey, which is where I started. You know, that was the first show I ever did was me and Robbie Jersey. And Robbie was a super fan at the time and still is a super fan at this point in time. And I love Robbie. Got to give enough respect to Robbie Jersey. A lot of folks, if you're on Twitter, you know who I'm talking about. But even, you know, when I was going on, you know, Let's Talk Jets on Tuesday with Tyson and Prime and all of them guys, when Joe was there. The Jets content creators are the bomb. I mean, I love these guys, and I like actually interacting as much as I can with other shows. We just, you know, it's busy sometimes, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Mikhail Edwards is asking me if I've dove into Kyler Gordon yet. He was pointing him out to me when I was doing one of my mock drafts, and I'll say honestly, I read a little bit more right afterwards, just what was written in the PFN, and of course, it sounded good, really good. I haven't watched his tape yet because it's a work week for me. So all of my tape watching, all of my, like, as far as looking up players and watching their tape takes place usually Saturday in the morning and, you know, through Saturday afternoon. I kind of like my, you know, that garbage part of the day where college football's in the background and I'll watch YouTube videos. No, I haven't yet. I'll probably have to wait till, you know, I get to that Saturday morning kind of thing, and I'll probably check out. He's definitely one of the players I'll check out and watch tape for.
Most definitely. All right, this is awesome, Jeremy. Man, I really appreciate.
I know it's getting late. I was about to say, or I'm thinking the same thing. As much as I love talking to these guys,
right?
And they know I love it.
Yeah, I got to be in. I got to be on the road, and when I have we have a seminar. I got another training.
Okay, so why don't we wrap up with you telling everybody where they can find you, where you know, all your social media stuff.
All right, this is what I'm talking about. This is one of my favorite spots. Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Weapons Hot, Fridays, 7 to 8:30 usually, and then we have Weapons Hot After Dark on YouTube, where CJ the Painkiller D Simone, Jimmy Jardine, my man, 50 grand. We chop it up and we do quite a bit. Of in-depth analysis and just, you know, pretty exciting banter. And Jeremy, once again, open invitation for you. I think we have Jude on with us this weekend.
Oh, wow.
So Jude, I'm hoping I'm not jinxing that. I know we reached out to him earlier. I'm hoping Jude comes in. I love chopping it up with you, Jets. At Spotty Blackman on Twitter. Same on Instagram. I'm keep it real. I'm not really big on Instagram. If you go in there, you're probably going to see pictures of my kids and pictures of when I used to drive cross country. So, on Facebook, New York Jets Hub. I'm still admin there. Started that a few years ago with Robbie Jersey. We do collabs. We do a lot of different things. It's Kevin Jackson on Facebook, though it's a little different. Look. Come rock with us, man. Again, at Spotty Blackman on Twitter. I really, 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 really enjoyed discussing Jets football. Even, you know, if this is a troll situation and you don't agree with something that I say, that's even better. Come on, at your boy. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. We're all over the place. Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You can download the app in iTunes or in Google Play. Anywhere you get your podcast, come check us out.
Spotty, I am absolutely thrilled to have had you on. I am super excited about collabing with you more, doing more with you on this channel and on your channels. And also, and I mean this genuinely, just developing our friendship and, you know, becoming good friends with you and getting another good friend in life, because I already know that you're good people, and I'm looking forward to that. I always love when I find a new friend too. So I appreciate you.
I'm thankful for that, and we do travel. So yeah, there might be a steakhouse or something in our futures where we can
you gotta believe it, man. You come to California and I'm there for sure.
That's what's up. Look, I'll be there in April.
Okay.
I'll be there in April.
Well, we'll be in touch with all that. Guys, this is not a goodbye. It's only to see you later, because believe me, Spotty's going to have an invitation here multiple times in the future. Pretty much anytime if you ever want to be on because there's something you want to announce or you're really in the mood to be on and talk, all you have to do is reach out to me and say, I'd love to be on the show. And
Gotcha.
There's always room for you here.
That will happen. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You know it. And guys, I'll be releasing another mock draft pretty soon. And the epic mock draft where I'm going to be doing it after consuming a teaspoon of the last dab, no water, no milk until I complete the draft, is going to take place. I only need 9 more subscribers. So get the word out there. Get people to subscribe. Yeah. I'm almost there. It's going to happen. Take care, everybody. Be good. Be well.
Good night, y'all.
Organization is about to go to shit than a New York Jet fan. And Justin Fields proved that he can hold it together. He can regroup. It's okay if he struggles. And we got a big game against the Eagles, and maybe you need some energy, so wake up! We have every right to expect the Jets to win. Rich Cimini, schmuck, putz,